Good afternoon and welcome to one panel discussion on transforming education skills and employability in Bengal. We have very eminent speakers with us. Professor Dhrubajyoti Chattopadhyay, Vice Chancellor, Sister Nivedita University, New Town, Kolkata. Ms. Lakshmi Chandrasekharan, Managing Director, HR Lead, Accenture India. Professor Dr. Sanjay Kumar, Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Kolkata. Mr. Ananda Mitra, Director and Location Head, IBM. The session will be moderated by Mrs. Somesh Dasgupta, Whole-Time Director, India Power Corporation Limited, and Chairperson of the People Management Committee of the Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry. With this, without wasting any time, I'm just requesting Mr. Somesh Dasgupta to take forward, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Arnav. Thank you and welcome to all the participants and viewers who will be in the today's witnessing the entire session. And I am also welcoming all the erudite speaker who will be in the panel. Just before starting that main discussion, let me give some small background about the particular technical session. Today Bengal Chamber, we are organizing a Bengal Economic E-Conclave to 2021. The theme of the conclave was Bengal after election 2021. That was mainly the 2 days conclave, today and 1st of July. So in today's Bengal Economic E-Conclave, already inauguration was taken place. And this is the first technical session we're calling Executive Track 1, which is under the banner of this Bengal Economic E-Conclave 2021. So all the discussion which will be today, we are discussing by the erudite panelists, very senior professionals in different domain. We will be concentrating on two things, basically on Bengal, and number one. Number two is obviously in the next normal situation, where people have a lot of uncertainty, a lot of new things to discuss. Why Bengal Chamber has chosen something called Bengal Economic Conclave 2021 with the theme of Bengal after election 2021? It means Bengal election is a symbol part because after election, a stable government has continued now, number one. Number two, we are also coming out from the phase 2 of the COVID situation. This is the right time when Bengal Chamber will play an important role with the state governments and to bridge the gap so that the corporate can be oriented towards the policy thinking of government of Bengal. With that purpose, we are organizing this program. Our Honorable Industry Minister also will be there in the second day. So that is the main purpose of the entire summit. And in the summit, one of the most vibrant session is this one, which is called the Transforming Education, Skills and Employability in Bengal. Because without education, skill and employability, New Bengal or the beyond Bengal after election has no meaning. So I'm very happy today because, we have a wonderful combination of speakers today. Because, we have speakers from the apex level of academia. We have a speaker from the apex level of IT industries, management corporates. So it's a wonderful combination of that. So we'll make the session so interesting so that viewer and participants will enjoy it. Before that, I have some statistics to share for the speakers and all. There is a rise in the literacy rate of the state from 77% in 2011 to 80% as NSS household consumption report. There are more than 8,000 schools, primary, secondary, and senior secondary in Bengal, 33 universities, and more than 500 degree college, technical and vocational institutes. That is very important. And West Bengal has the potential to be a source of trained and quality manpower for the rest of India. While national key growth sector witnessing migration of workforce like IT, ITS, retail construction, and financial services are the top priority for the skill development in West Bengal is intensive industries like construction, agri-allied activities, IT, ITS, food processing, and MSME. So with this background, we want to discuss certain, we have from the Chamber of Commerce, we have developed certain set of questions. And I want to make the session so interesting that there will be 4 rounds. My request to all my learned speakers, I will introduce you accordingly. So this 4 round of questions, it will be one by one round, first round, second round, third round, fourth round. And I'll be asking my response, expecting my response, speaker to speaker, round number 1, then go to the second question, second round, third question, third round, and the fourth question, fourth round. So I'm very happy for the viewers. I'm telling you that we have a 50-50 balanced presence today from academia and the corporate. So I'm very happy that today we have four speakers, as Anu was already mentioned. Dr. Dhruva Chattopadhyay, Vice Chancellor, Sister Nivedita University. We have another Vice Chancellor today with Dr. Sanjay Kumar, Vice Chancellor, Amity University. And we have very stalwarts from the IT industries and the consulting industries, Mr. Aninda Mitra, Director and Location Head, IBM, and our main today, Accenture, Lakshmi Chandrasekhar, Managing Director, HR Lead, Accenture India. So this is the total panel. So what I'll do, I will start my response or questioning from academy. That Dhruva Chattopadhyay, my first questions to him. Then second from industry, I will ask my question to Lakshmi. Third is again back to the academy, Dr. Sanjay Kumar ji there. And finally, Aninda Mitra, who will be representing IBM. So the purpose of doing such a thing that it will be more interesting, so that ultimately people has a flavor for the perception from academia and also from the corporates, so that there's a take-home value will be much richer and meaningful. So my first question to very senior professionals, Mr. Dhruva Chattopadhyay is a Vice Chancellor, Sister Nivedita University, and we know in Bengal, we know all him because he's a very important person in Bengal. I'm at liberty to meet him 2-3 times in different occasions. So, sir, my first question to you, that is in the theme of transforming education, skill, and employability in Bengal. My first question has a two-part, part A and part B. So the first question is, considering the importance of industry and business-specific education, how aligned are syllabus of various professional courses with the industries? I'm repeating, considering the importance of industry and business-specific education, how aligned are syllabus of various professional courses with industry? And part of the second part of the same question, how far we have reached to bridge the gap? There is a gap, we all know. How far we have reached to bridge this gap? So this is a very comprehensive question, sir. I'm very sure you have come across this question before. I need your wisdom and I need your knowledge to address these questions. Please, sir.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody, all my panelists, then Arnab and Shombit. And definitely today we are having a very important person, Mr. Shobhit Dasgupta, who is actually moderating. Thank you for the question, because this question is very important with respect to, I shall just try to give my answers in some basic focus points, okay? First, where we stand. If we look at the education system is more of a conceptual or theory driven. So far, if we go across the different parts of India. Now, the professional courses are an exception to this, but most of the system is somewhat what we could find as learning based. Just give you one example. Say, I am a microbiologist and I have to teach my students about the fermentation technology. But I have never seen any fermenter. I used to teach fermentation technology. So if I could be a part of a person who himself actually use fermenter, then the fermentation technology, the way I can convey it to my students are going to be completely different from what I used to do. I make all the thermodynamics parameters, everything very nicely. But actually the field of a fermenter with respect to the technology is not there. So that is why this particular point is very, very important, that how business specific education or the industry specific education could be aligned. And for that, the first thing I really want to mention that we have to understand that importance of application of our understanding in professional courses, and not only in professional, even in the regular courses, are also becoming very important. In our university, always we try, because it's a very young university, but the first thing what we wanted to try, that we develop the board of studies in such a way there will be representation from the industry experts, because they can definitely give their inputs that how this will be important, whatever courses we are covering, that areas are going to be important. Even in our course of mass communication, course of English, we want to have this type of people, because everything can be looked upon as a research driven, and it's something of internship oriented. So I want to mention that the syllabus of the various courses, not only the professional, should be aligned with the industries to make this very acceptable to our students, and also will change our mindset regarding how we are going to teach our students. And when we talk about the gapping, bridging this gap, I want to mention that here the teaching methodologies have been revamping for the last couple of years and completely changed during this online mode, and the lesson delivery model is also changing. This actually helping us to be more closing the gap between what we are normally doing, practicing as teaching pedagogy, the teacher or the faculty-driven centric education to the student-centric education. So the whole learning pedagogy is going to be changed and already started to be changed, which I'm sure is going to bridge the gap. Thank you, Mr. Dash.
Thank you, sir. I think you have touched all the important points. 2-3 points I must agree that we are talking in a daily basis. One point you have touched very importantly, that you said that it is an internship oriented. That is something very new shift from the educational system today. It should be the internship oriented. Second point, sir, rightly you have pointed out that teaching methodology. As a very progressive university of Sister Nivedita, you have adopted a lot of new technology, we are aware. And that leads to the technology, technical teaching methodology. Third point, very rightly you said, the induction of the industry expert. So from the industry, I am still believing that. So in industry, we have seen lot of leadership people who has a very good teacher. They may not have a chance to teach in education, but if the chance God gives to them, they are excellent. So as rightly you said, you can invite some of the vice president level people who are in the corporates, and they can do justice with your students so that the gap between the industry and your academia will reduce. Thank you there. I will come back to you for another question for more meaningful advice. My second speakers, Lashmi Chandrasekharan here. Lashmi, you are representing one of the very progressive global organization who has a good presence in India. So obviously, my question will be in the perspective of the corporates. And first questions I'll be asking you, which has a from the HR point of view is a concern for all the HR professionals. It means that we are talking about today all the organizations who are aggressive in so-called organization, they should be task oriented as also the people oriented. And the art of leadership team, how to balance this task orientation and people orientation, because end of the day, Accenture is dependent on the human resource and they are your main driving force for the growth of the organization. So when you are balancing this the task orientation and people orientation, one thing comes automatically called expectation. So you have some expected organization, employee expectation different from the organization. So there is a mismatch. It may happen and may not happen. The expectation of the employer and employee. So, and which is lead to my question to you is employee contentedness, which is very important. Employee contentedness factor, is it a myth in digital era? So if you can highlight something on your concept of that, particularly most vibrant organizations or more IT-driven organizations, they are handling young generation, middle generation, senior people, all in your organization. Respect to that, please, we'll be very highly obliged if you can mention certain thing on the contentedness factors.
Thank you, Mr. Rajputto. Thank you so much for inviting me today to this discussion. I was born in Kolkata. I was raised in Kolkata. I've been educated at some of the finest institutions in Kolkata. And I see Professor Dhrubajyoti is also from the same alumni as myself, Presidency College back then. And so I look forward to any opportunity to contribute and give back to the community that has literally raised me. So thank you for inviting me here today.
Thank you.
Let me start by defining employee connectedness. And like you said, it could be the expectations of the employee from the employer. I see it as more of an engagement or the emotional commitment of a person with the organization and its goals. And that is an important element, irrespective of how you define it. In my view, employee contentedness has never been more relevant than today in what I call the post-digital era, actually. And as organization, it is really our responsibility to create an experience for every single one of our people that is hyper personalized and meaningful to them. And that happens through a combination of multiple factors. In my view, there are three elements that are most critical, and especially for the Gen Zs and the millennials. The first one is a very deep human connection with the people that they work with. And this includes a deep connection with the purpose of the organization that they work for. And this connection is all the more relevant given how, today a large part of our workforce has been working virtually for the last 15 to 18 months, some more virtually, some less virtually. So for me, that is the first one, that we have to constantly strive to kind of build that connection with the broader purpose of the organization and amongst the people. The second is trust and a sense of empowerment. People need to trust and their organization. And to do that, their voices need to be heard, their ideas need to be considered. And the second dimension of this is also is that of empowerment, is a flexibility also to do their own work. You have to move away from being regimental about how you get work done. And the last, and probably the most important one, is a sense of growth and progression in their career. And this is backed by research. And HBR research suggests 59% of millennials say that the opportunity to learn and grow is a deciding factor in their job selection. They value employability and want to know how organizations will help them continue to learn and grow in their careers. So it's safe to say that a person's contentedness, as you called it, is directly linked to their employability, their career opportunity, their progress, and all of this in the post-digital era is directly impacted by one's current skills as well as one's ability to constantly upskill themselves. So skilling, therefore, in my view, has emerged as a cornerstone of all talent strategies of successful organizations. And given the pace of technological and socioeconomic change that we see around us, the need for people to constantly upskill themselves so that they remain relevant, they remain employable, has only increased further. And we have seen this true with our people across all parts of our organization, not just the technology or the consulting organization, but our outsourcing organization, our corporate functions, everywhere. In fact, at Accenture globally, we invest close to $1 billion in learning and development alone every year. And with the whole focus on digital transformation across industries, skills are the most sought after currency and will directly impact the contentedness of our people in this post-digital era. With that, let me hand it back to you, Mr. Dashgupta.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Really, a lot of good insight come out with your presentation or with your speech. See, three things as you mentioned. I think everybody who are listening today, they will note it down. Number one, the human connection, then trust, and finally the sense of growth. We are happy to note that you are investing more or spending more than $1 billion as a learning and development fund. It reminds me that somebody said that the General Motors, General Electric, their R&D investment is half of their total turnover, something like that. So means all these big organizations, they have realized the importance of career and learning development. The third point, which you said about sense of growth in connection and learning, which is very important. Otherwise, people will stagnate, and in spite of your good salary, in spite of good ambience, they look for other jobs. Thank you for your insight from a company called Accenture, with a very reputed industry for that. I'm going to the third speaker now, Sanjay Kumar, Dr. Sanjay Kumar. Sir, my question to you, again, I'm coming back to academics. And my first question to you, as a part of an apex person in academics, you are aware that private investment is very important for industry. I think you must be appreciating that. Unless you develop a good, unless you have a good investment in private way, you cannot develop your education. Amity is a private institution. I've seen your campus in Calcutta. It is much better than Noida campus. And I've seen that you are doing a lot of good things inside the campus. So my question to you, private investment in education is a need-based approach towards the holistic growth of this sector. You all agree. What are the key areas to look for if we want to attract investment in education sector in Bengal? It's a Bengal specific question, because today we are sitting, or we are discussing everything based on Bengal conclave. So based on your Amity experience in Bengal, you have put an excellent state-of-art technology campus. What do you think that if really private investment comes to the particular sector, what are the key areas to look into, and how the investment will attract other people? Please.
Well, thank you, Mr. Dasgupta. Very nicely framed the question, and with a great sense of patience and commitment, I would like to answer this, because I have got a huge experience in the sectors of the education as well as the research both. Also, I have been associated with the industries also on various forums like Confederation of Indian Industries and the various chambers in various states. Let me tell you this, that investment theory is based on the needs. As you said, the need-based approach. So need-based approach means what are the needs for the private investors? First, let's try to identify those needs. Then we'll identify the key areas. So the first thing is that to identify the needs for the investors. Investors, what they look forward. Before they invest, they carry out a lot of research, and those research are basically related to the couple of things. Not only couple of things, but in my mind, there is a very considerate number where they look at this, what it is. First of all, private investors. When you say private investors, not that all the investors, I am saying that. Yes, most of the investors are looking from the commercial angle. Commercial angle, it means return on investment, ROI. The business language is ROI. So they look at this, that if I have to invest somewhere, then I should proportionately getting the return on my investment. The second angle is philanthropic angle. Somebody is looking at the, okay, education is my passion and I would like to contribute to the society. So the whole mission and the passion is to open an education sector, particularly, let's say in a particular state, maybe West Bengal or anywhere else that suits to him, and that is how he invests. The next lot comes is basically somebody is going to have some kind of intellectual joy. Let's say the private university owners, they become the chancellor of the university. Where in the state universities, the chancellor is the governor of the state. So this is also very important parameter. If you wish to have the intellectual joy with this kind of an investment, definitely you can go for this kind of an investment, irrespective of the place, because you are looking at that. Okay. The next thing is that someone has got a patriotic feeling that, okay, he wants to contribute for the noble cause of this society and nation development, nation building. So this is also one of the angle and the need. So, various private investors have got a need-based approach. If these needs are going to get fulfilled as per the individual's requirement, definitely they are going to this thing. Next thing is the individual passion that, okay, I have got to do something which is going to be definitely recognized by the society. So individual, driven by the individual passion. Then the next aspect comes is when somebody invests, he looks forward for the future scope for expansion. Very, very important aspect. The growth potential of the place and the area. What is the growth potential? Because when you invest down the line, you start now looking at that hence 10 years, hence 5 years, what will be the return? What will be my expansion? Then next thing what they look at this, ease of doing business. Honorable Prime Minister has been talking about this, ease of doing business, how complicated it is to set up an university in the West Bengal state. If the government is giving a lot of privileges to the private investors and encouraging them, definitely they will be highly encouraged to set up their universities, because they are aware about this, that okay, government is going to back me up, government is going to support me at all fronts. And this support, I'll be coming to this all elaborately onto this. So ease of doing business is very, very important for any investor. And ease of doing business has got a lot of classifications. I'll not go into those classifications. Then next thing comes for an investor is connectivity. If the place is remotely, if the university is very remote, then connectivity by the road, rail, air, it becomes a problem. It means that they would prefer to go in the cities where the good connectivity, because city is not in a short driven, it's in a really is a big dream for an individual, that they are looking for the foreign cities collaborations, etc. Government encouragement, support and provision for subsidies, etc. Type of civic society, this is also very important factor. This statement, wherever they are going to invest, they are looking at people are rude, cooperative or friendly. If the people are not very cooperative, then definitely, let's say in all days, if you have the strikes, lockouts, all kind of things, people, they don't prefer those places. So they are looking for a conducive environment. Very, very important for education sector particularly. Now, let's say I'm looking at that key areas, what you mentioned, the second part of what are the key areas to attract investment in education investment. Here I would like to make a mention of this. To open a good university, at least 300 crore investment is required. At least 200 to 300 crores investment is required. The reason being, because in urban area, at least minimum 10 acres is the requirement of the government of the state as well as the UGC, and also 30 acres in the remote places. It means tier 2 cities, where the connectivity is a bit issue or things like that. So to develop a good kind of infrastructure, labs, auditorium, hostels, etc. So I said that these are all measures. 10 acres in the urban city, like in Calcutta, somebody wants the 10 acres is more than enough. Okay. And if you go little remote, then 30 acres of land is required. Subsidy on the purchase of the land, whether it's there, power, road, taxes, etc. There is some kind of subsidies, etc. Accessibility, as I said, through road, rail, and the rail. Ability of the raw material. Raw material, I would like to attract your attention here, the audience, because the target customer, it means the students. Students, what is the kind of ability of the students, from where they will get the students. Now I'll be coming to the West Bengal per se. The another important key area is competition. How much is the competition? If the private investor is going to have this, so many universities and universities are getting closed and they are not having the students, then there's no meaning to that. So competition, they look at this. The next thing what they look at this, sustainability of the business. Business is going to really sustain or not, because self-sustaining business, if the university is in 5 years, or if it is not self-sustaining, then they will not go for this further investment as such. Then regulation. There are many states I would like to highlight here. In this country, there are 3 states where the private university regulatory commissions are all there. One is Himachal Pradesh, and one is Himachal Pradesh, one is Jharkhand, and one is Madhya Pradesh. Sorry, not Jharkhand. It is one more state is there. And there are other states, they don't have the regulatory commission. So they are looking at this, that if the regulatory commissions are not there, so in between this 1% tuition fee goes to the regulatory commission. That is also because 1% tuition fee is a huge amount. If you have got 8,000, it will be in crores. So they don't want to part with this. They want to deal with directly with the government. So these are all criteria. I am saying practical part of this. Then affordability of the fee and capitation. Let's say somebody comes with this, that I'll be charging manmana fee, then things will not work. So these are the areas where we have got to look at this, that these things, are we conducive enough? I said the very important part, total population today in West Bengal is about 10.1 crore or so. I was going through the census of the 2011. What I can look at this, that the total population about 15 to 24 age, it means 15 to 19 one bracket, and 20 to 24 and 25 to 29. For the university, I am saying higher education. For the university, what I got the data of this, basically 2011 census, that 9.6 and 8.76 percentage is for this age group. It means that approximately the West Bengal will be having the youth population for the higher education about 2 crores, 2 to 2.5 crores. So this is where the target customer, they look at this, because the home state will be drawing the maximum percentage in the admissions, and then thereafter the other states. Okay, so very important point to be noted here and to be seen. Competition, if you look at this in the West Bengal, I'll give you a very pointed answers to your question. We have the Central University, one, Shantiniketan, Central University. All private universities, they look at this, who all are the competitors. And if you are aware about, you must be aware about this, that we have got over 1,000 universities in this country. We have got over 50 central universities, 400, around 30 universities, private universities. Then we have got the state universities. They are also approximately 380 or so. Then we have got the deemed classifications. If you look at this, deemed universities in this West Bengal is 2. Private universities are 12. Okay. And most important part where the people, they get little data, because of the institute of the national importance. And this West Bengal state is blessed with this. 9 we have. 9 institution of the national importance, including your IIM Calcutta, including your IIT Kharagpur, including your Indian Statistical Institute, Indian Institute of Technology Kharagpur, similarly the National Law University, and etc. This is what is the kind of, this is the actual figure actually, that nine national institutions we have, and plus we have got the research institutions over 15. So look at this, what is the kind of a competition we have. So the private universities, when they are coming with this, they must have, absolutely clear in their mind that the quality of the education and the skills training, as Madam Lakshmi was also mentioning this, today the university will not survive unless you give this skill training to the student. So these are the areas where we have got to look at this. If the government wants to encourage the private universities, they have got to have the light and tight regulation. First thing, they should provision for a good kind of a subsidy in terms of the land, power, taxes, etc., etc. Provide some kind of a good infrastructure in terms of the road linkages, etc. And try to get as many as possible, because if the medical universities here in this West Bengal, if you go with the stats, it is almost about 28, 30 medical universities are there. So the competition is very, very high. So these are the areas where the government must look into this, that if you really want to, encourage the private investors, you encourage in the terms of this, that they should be self-sustaining, and they should provision a lot of scholarship. Today, university ko grow karne ke liye scholarship we have got to put it, because affordability and accessibility, there are two key areas for the education. If you want the education to grow, affordability and accessibility. All students cannot afford to go for the high fee. In that case, the government must back them up. Let them give some scholarships. to the meritorious students. In any case, in Amity University, we have got plenty of scholarship schemes, and you'll be glad to know that probably Amity University is one of its kind which has allocated 52 crores rupees for the students welfare, which was broadcast by the NDTV, and our honorable chancellor Dr. Atul Chauhan was there in the show. It means that those students who have lost their parents in this COVID and pandemic, throughout their remaining academic career, the Amity is giving the free education, absolutely free education, which was basically announced by honorable chancellor and the founder president, Dr. Ashok Chauhan ji. This is a great and some kind of you can look at this, a great allocations for the students welfare. So if somebody has got that kind of an philanthropy in the mind, definitely that business will also grow. It will be self-sustained, and definitely it will attract many students. And one last point, that if you want to grow in the university, you have got to maintain the quality. And today the skill training in line with the Industrial Revolution 4 and henceforth coming that Industrial 5 revolution. We have got to look at this, that it is not the Industrial 4. The last part was artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, Internet of Things. But now we are moving all these advancements of this. So with the advancement of the technology, the university also have got to grow. Thank you very much for putting this question to me. I hope I have been able to clarify.
Excellent elaboration, Dr. Sanjay Kumar. Really, we are grateful to you, because now I'm realizing why the growth of Amity all over India is so significant. Yes. So as an apex member of academics, you narrated each and everything. You have narrated the mindset of the promoters who is investing money for the industry, for this sector. And also you have mentioned the key areas so nicely, and a lot of new things have come up today. Really, thank you for your detailed analysis. I think that who are listening today, this particular session, they will be benefiting out of your all deliberations. Thank you. I'm coming back to you, sir. So my next fourth speaker is Aninda Mitra. Aninda is the director and location head of IBM. So Aninda, I'm coming to you. Before that is a small background. See, actually, IBM association with West Bengal for a long time. We have seen IBM is an integral part in the growth of Bengal for last 10, 15, 12 years. So it is always people that say that, like PricewaterhouseCoopers, IBM was a very integral part of the growth of Bengal. So we all call IBM as a global company, but it's a company of Bengal also. So my question to you, my first question to you, Aninda, are you getting industry-ready students and candidates at the entry level of your organization? Because it is very important today, because you are people-oriented organization. Your entire success depends on the people, and you are recruiting people from different campuses. So I have a two-part of my question. First question is, are you getting industry-ready students or candidates at the entry level of your organization? Part two, your comments on the age-old gap. There's a gap everybody is aware. On the age-old gap with respect to technology, business requirement and relevance, and mindset of people. Mindset of people, business requirement and relevance, and technology. In these three areas, whether your students are entry-level people are ready, and if they're not ready, what is your preparation plan, orientation plan to bridge that gap? Over to Aninda, please.
Thank you, Mr. Dasgupta, for asking a very relevant question and putting IBM as part of the overall Bengal growth story. Good afternoon to my co-panelists and viewers around the world. It's a privilege to be a part of this panel discussion, and thank you, Bengal Chamber, for inviting me. In terms of the industry-ready students at the entry level, I think we all are aware of this. I mean, there is definitely a big skill gap between what is being taught today in the colleges versus what we as the industry need. Just a couple of data points I wanted to start off with. The International Labour Organization estimates India's skill deficit will be 29 million by 2030. 29 million. Back home, the 8th edition of our Indian Skill Report, released in February of this year, reveals that in 2021, only 46% of our graduates are found to be employable. Just 46%. Okay. So I'll touch upon later on in terms of how the industry per se, IT industry per se has transformed and what are the skills that we need from an industry perspective. But to be fair, our education system is also changing. Uh, this certainly, but is changing. But of course, the pace of change of the education industry is definitely not keeping up with the pace of change that we are seeing in other industries. Okay, and this is what we have to catch up with. Now, having recognized that there is definitely a skill gap, we can either keep talking about it or we can do something about it. And this doing something is not very easy. This will require close collaboration between the government, the industry, and the academics to work together and bring in the change right at the grassroots level. Okay, so let me give you a few examples of what we as IBM we are trying to do. The first example is where as IBM, we've worked very closely with the CBSE board to develop a curriculum for artificial intelligence. This has now been introduced as an elective subject for all classes 9 to 12. And today this course is being taught in 160 schools across the country with over 12,000 students benefiting from it. The second example that I wanted to give is where industry can come in terms of providing platform to the academic world. Okay, in IBM, what we have created is something called an IBM Skill Build platform. This is a global platform which offers more than 7,500 job role-based technical courses. Okay, and this is benefiting both the students and the teachers to meet their learning needs. This was actually launched in India in 2019, and currently there are 100,000 users of this platform in India itself. Okay. The third example that I wanted to cite is actually a bit more radical in nature. And over time, we realized that to be successful in the IT world, to be working in some of the new age technologies like AI, cybersecurity, cloud computing, you name it, you actually don't need an engineering degree. In IT industry, we madly rush for engineering degree, but you actually don't need an engineering degree to work in these technology areas. So what we did is that we actually coined a term called PTech, Pathways to Technology. Okay, and this open PTech we have actually launched in India last year, and already we have 110,000 users of this open PTech curriculum in India. This is for students of the age group between 14 to 20, where they go through a structured course material specializing in some of the new age technologies. All you need to do is just type ptech.org in your browser, and you will get all the details about this course. So to summarize, clearly there is a skill gap. We all need to recognize it and do our bit. Whether you are part of the industry, the academia, or the government, we all need to work together, come together, collaborate to bridge the skill gap. And it needs to be done at scale and with speed. Right, with that thought, I would actually like to hand it back to you, Mr. Dasgupta, and thank you for asking such a relevant question.
Yes, Mr. Mitra, really I'm thankful to you that you have highlighted 3 examples of IBM, which I'm very sure that my participants today will be benefited. I must congratulate your IBM initiative for modifying the curriculum of the CBS course, which is highly required because education starts from that level only. Otherwise, it will be too late to modify people. So that is number 1. And excellent work by IBM for your skill build platform and also the pathway to tech, the PTech. So we have no idea about the PTech courses. I think people today, they will download it and they will research more on that. Thank you for that. A big organization should do like this so that as a whole community will be developed. Thank you for all this good insight, Anindo. And I'm very happy that we are concluding the first round of interaction. I think that people are enjoying it. Now let's go for the second round. We're starting with again Mr. Dhrubajyoti Chattopadhyay, Vice Chancellor, Sustainability University. Sir, I'm coming back to academia now, your own area. So we are talking about the visibility part because as we are promoting Bengal here, so in terms of the Bengal, visibility of education is very important. So my question to you, from the perspective of academia, what we can do to enhance the image of education system in Bengal. Because there is a mixed reaction. Somebody say that the education system had eroded. There are a lot of dilution has taken place in the system. Somebody also said that Bengal is a pool of talents, is abundant pool of talents. So my question to you, in the academic point of view, how we can position ourselves from the perspective of academia, what we can do to enhance the image of education system in Bengal. Over to Dr. Dhrubajyoti Chattopadhyay. Sir.
Thank you for this question. Now, again, because you mentioned that certain examples are always going to be very important. If you think about the image of education system in Bengal, in the last many years, if you just look at the, as mentioned by many of the different research institute directors, you can see that almost 70% are actually from Bengal. If you look at the Indian Institute of Science, which is right now the #1 institutions categorized under the different ranking systems, both national and international, over there, it is almost 38% of the faculty members are from Bengal. Now, these are actually, and all the faculty members actually feel like if we can get the students from Bengal, they will be very happy. So with respect to research, science, innovation, and other things, I find that we have a really nice image throughout the country as well as abroad. Coming to this question that how we can enhance, this is very important. Now, because of the change or the transformation in education, we have to keep ourselves that the creative classrooms, they are certain driving factors, and those driving factors are going to be very important. One is imagine, second is invent, and the third one is innovate. Now, these three factors we have to nurture more into our education system to enhance our image, and thereby the responsibilities of the academia is not actually make the people employable for industries, but to get the students ready to think about that they can question something. They can actually ask these questions, get the answers, be creative, be innovative. And otherwise, it will be very difficult, whether for the future research institutes or for the industries or anybody, it will be very difficult actually to get the good stakeholders in their organizations. So one of the major challenge is how actually we can gear up with our education to get the students ready in this type of mindset. So creative teaching, it also helps to channelize the different types of creative potential. And it's an intrinsic motivation among the students in which students understand that any creative thinking requires effort. These are the things which also gives them the understanding of, say, for example, you are facing a stressful situation, how to face that stress. I'm sure the industry is right now looking for the people who can actually try to fight with the stress. Mental stability is very, very important for the industries. And to make our students employable, we have to understand that how could we actually train our students to face the different types of difficult situations. See, what I find in my classes also, giving a tough question and students are not going to answer those questions is nothing bad. It is actually to get an understanding that where, at what level the students are interacting. So again, I want to mention to all our industry friends over here, see, each industry has its own requirement, different things. But when we are teaching the students, we want to make them global with respect to their requirements. So it's not going to be a specific industry related, but it should be what the industry needs now. We have to identify that after discussion with the industries and get those things. And in Bengal, what I could find, that the relation between the different industries and the universities, even at the level of colleges, I could see it's actually increasing. Earlier, interaction with Chamber of Commerce is not there with the college and universities in such a way, rather what we could see in the last few years. So from the perspective of academia, I can tell you that by getting or making our students more creative, more innovative, and help them to imagine is going to be very, very helpful. And the another thing I just want to emphasize, that creative learning will require the teachers to understand the optimum combination of adoption and creation. And the syllabus and curricula will be more student-centric, as I mentioned to you earlier, and an effort from the faculty members should be there to how to reach out to the students to get their questions out from their mind. And this is becoming very, very important. So in our state, we have fantastic faculties, fantastic students. It is now the right combination of the teaching methodology, the syllabus, as well as the practice is going to definitely enhance the image of education system. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's a very encouraging part because you are giving a very encouraging deliberation to Project Bengal. So two very important points which I observed from the point, rightly you said that creative class and teaching is very important, and rightfully you mentioned about that optimum combination of adoption and creation, which is very good. And we also happy to note that the basic foundation of your educational system is the imagine, then your invent and innovate. So, and also one very important point you have shared today, that the employable students, when they go back to the organization, they should ask questions. It's very important. The creative question they should ask to the employer. They are employable. It is a secondary part. First of all, they should add value. When they are adding value in the organization, the basic question which you're talking about is very important. They should ask appropriate question and creative question to the employer. So the employer will get that these people upbringing is absolutely right order. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your very well balanced presentation. I'm now going back to Lakshmi, again to industry specific, corporate specific, and management specific. Lakshmi, we all have a very great respect about the company called Accenture. Accenture is a very good global organization and very big presence in India. We all will appreciating that. And we all agree that Accenture is a big employer. So if you agree with me that last 10, 15 years, entire young students, maybe engineering background or management background, their 70-80% recruitments are in IT sector or in consulting sector. So that is the trend last 7-8 years or more than 10 years happening. So with that background, with this perspective, my question to you, Accenture is a big employer that we know. Accenture can create. Is there any state-wise comparison report on employability? Because it's very important because you are one of the big recruiter. Is there any state-wise comparison report on employability? Please provide some national level perspective because employability is very important. We are talking to Mr. Chattopadhyay also. So employability in perception of the corporates. I just want to know from a national level company called Accenture, is there any comparison report, including Government of West Bengal, State Bengal, employability, and provide some national level perspective, please?
Thank you, Mr. Dashmuktu. Our strategy at Accenture has always been about finding people with the relevant skills, right mindset to thrive in this post-digital world. So that's what we look for when we hire someone. It's a very democratic, I would say, region agnostic strategy. So I don't think I can answer that question directly. Secondly, in light of the disruption that you're seeing and the digital acceleration that has been caused by this pandemic, I think employers are also looking at elements of employability like location and mobility very, very differently. And some of the traditional models of working have completely changed. In this new world, more and more organizations are exploring what is becoming known to be a hybrid model, where people or employees will have more flexibility in terms of their work location. This has opened up a huge opportunity for people. People who may otherwise have had location constraints, I need to stay in Bangalore, I need to stay in Chennai, I need to stay in Kolkata, as an example. People who had these location constraints but had the right skills, they can now get selected for opportunities while continuing to stay in their home location. Just to share an example, during the pandemic, at Accenture, we enabled our people who have moved back to their homes to work remotely, right? As we stand today, when we look at the data, the number of our people we have working from West Bengal, not just Kolkata, but across West Bengal, has gone up significantly during the pandemic because people have moved back home. This flexibility that we are offering our people has also helped us ramp up capacity on projects more quickly. So it's a win-win for both. So therefore, in order to attract and retain talent, all organizations have to question some of their traditional assumptions about where people are more employable, where people can work from. And having said that, I recognize it may not be easy to implement across all industries, but even within a manufacturing setup, for example, I'm sure we can identify roles that can be enabled to work remotely. For example, there could be a manufacturing company with, say, a factory in maybe Gujarat, but they will certainly have some roles that get staffed remotely from Kolkata. I know this is going to be hard to do, but organizations need to start thinking about how they will hire talent regardless of where the talent resides. So in summary, what I'd like to say is this whole state-wise view of talent, where talent is available, all of that is getting challenged and turned on its head. And so people will have to look at talent very, very differently, roles and how they get staffed very, very differently. And that's a huge, huge opportunity for people. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, Rashmi. You have given a new dimension in terms of the employability. One very encouraging statement we received from your deliberation that location constraint, it is day by day, it is going out. This is one of the advantage of this COVID situation or next normal situation. Good to note that from your side, and really I'm appreciating your new dimension which you have incorporated in the employability area. So I am now going back to Dr. Sanjeev Kumar, Vice Chancellor, Aditya University. Sir, my question to you again based on the academia, that is, what are the strategies and plans to attract students from outside to the various institutions in Bengal? Why am I asking these questions? Because, people are telling that a lot of people are going out from Bengal for higher education in other states. So now the new government of West Bengal, they want to have they need some data, how they can make their own institutions so attractive and need-based so that students may come from outside. So my question to you, what are the strategies and plans to attract students from outside to various institutions in Bengal so that Bengal own talent should be in their own university, and the talent from outside Bengal also should come to India, come to Calcutta, so that these institutes are meaningful day by day? Please.
Well, thanks for putting a very relevant and contemporary question. The strategy is basically a very well-defined terminology. And when we define the strategy, we look at this, short-term strategy, long-term strategy. So if you look at this, this strategy, the question is very generic and it basically implies to all universities, all types of the universities, starting from the central universities, deemed university, state universities, private universities. So when it comes to the attraction, I recall, so far the attraction is concerned, one of the filmy sitaras, she said that फिल्में चलती हैं 3 चीजों से और वो है entertainment, entertainment, entertainment. I also look at, this is my personal view, that educational institutions 3 चीजों से चलती हैं. One is a quality. Second thing is the engagement. And third thing is entertainment. Now you'll be looking at these 3 parameters, how it is. And एक और parameter वो 4 चीजें, employability, entertainment, I said, engagement, 3 E's, engagement, and then says employability, 1 Q and 3 E's. Now I'll try to this thing. This should be our strategy actually first. It means that existing universities must grow in the quality in terms of enhancing the quality of the infrastructure. It means that each university must have the industry oriented or industry grade laboratories. Each university must have the quality teachers and not the teachers from the Chauraha. Because unless you have the good quality of the teachers, definitely he or she will not be able to impart the quality education. Okay. Unless you have got all kind of engagement for the students. Engagement means basically students should feel energized and empowered that they are being engaged right from, let's say, 9:30 to 5:30. If you give them a spare time, definitely they will be like a vagabond moving in the university. It means the university is not only a place of imparting the education, it is also a place of building the human values, building the ethics, building the character. It is also a place of building their characters in various facets of the personality. This is personality development, the soft skills. It's not only the technical hardcore skills. It means that curricular, co-curricular and extracurricular activities. Every educational campus must get enriched in all these three. Today, the central universities and the most of the state universities are having affiliated colleges 200, 300, 400. Now, are we in a position to do justice to this? No. It means the quality in evaluation, continuous evaluation process. I am saying quality infrastructure, okay, in terms of the all kind of a classroom comfort. If you want to attract the people from outside, you must have something distinct features in you. And what is that distinct features? जो दिखता है वो बिकता है, जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. पहले तो आपकी इंफ्रा ही नहीं रहेगी, एक झोपड़ी में जाएंगे, कोई भी आदमी आपको दावत नहीं देगा. But महल बनाएंगे तो definitely people will be having an attraction to come at this. So the quality infrastructure in terms of the building the laboratories, research facilities, in terms of the quality of the teachers. Okay, these are very, very important. Also sports facilities, very, very important thing. Sports facilities. Most of the universities, they don't have that kind of infra. All sorts of these sports. Maybe I'm not saying that, okay, then 300 crores becomes the 500 crores. Universities, central university and state university, if you go there, more than 100 acres of the land, all of them are having. All, may go this thing, 160, 180, 200. But in these lands area, you have got to develop an Olympic, model sort of sports. Although it, of course, it is basically investment is very huge. But what I'm saying, let's say some universities have got some facility. The other universities can have. West Bengal has got a great potential so for the football. Mohan Bagan football team, who doesn't know in the world? So this is a place where it is a place for the art, culture, drama, music, every little thing. So in every discipline, and then multidisciplinary approach and interdisciplinary approach in the university. ये चीज होने से क्या, under one roof, all the students from the various places, they are in a position to pursue their study with a vigor, with an interest. So I said engagement. You have got to engage the students. It means that keep their interest intact. Keep their motivation intact. Then only the skills, the ability to absorb the skills, then only it comes. Because unless a person, next thing is entertainment, as I said, all kind of cultural activities, all dance, drama, every little thing is a part of the education. All of us have grown like this. I've spent 7 years in IIT Delhi. We had all kind of fun frolic. So the university must have the fun frolic to attract the students from outside. The next thing is that your syllabus curriculum should be every 6 months, it must get revived. And it must get revived in line with the Industrial 4 revolution requirements and Industrial 5, which is in vogue now, which is probably in offing, but now it will be in this thing. It means that basically we have got to bridge the skill gaps, what industry needs and what we are producing. Next important part, that E is basically employment. We do not have to produce the intellectual degree holders. I'll repeat my statement here. We don't have to produce the intellectual degree holder. We have got to produce the employable intellectual degree holder. Unless we produce such, youths, nobody is going to come to any educational institutions. Of course, for sake of, getting some kind of a degree, definitely they will come and do this. But if you really want to do some justice for this, we have got to look at this. Then the some part comes for the government. Government, as I said earlier also, ease of doing business. If you really want to attract the private investors, the foreign investors, today the national education policy is also looking at the foreign investors. Foreign universities must get pegged here. Let's say West Bengal mein aapko foreign universities ko bulana hai. Kolkata will be the right choice. But tier 2, tier 3 cities, you have got 23 districts. If you really want to impart this thing, all students of this thing, more than almost about 3 crores youths, you cannot accommodate even in Kolkata. It means that the various places, and that is how we are looking at. The another important area where I am looking at the strategy is the diversity. Students in one particular university should not be only 90% from the West Bengal. They should get distributed from. Why? Because if you have got the diverse background, students will learn from each other. Classroom teaching is not only thing. Community living. Community living is a hostel living. We have got to teach the youths how to live in community. That is how individual-centric, self-centric families today. We are not able to part with the things in the combined family. The concepts have gone. So we have got to look at this. Then the government has got to really liberalize the way for the industry. MSME has come out with this thing. I was just looking at some of the news articles that I believe that Bengal's free incentives. It has been this thing. The government has definitely, that is a very good move by the government. They have divided in 5 zones. I think A, B, C, D, E. Depending upon if it is the remotest, probably the incentive is much more. So that is how somebody is going in a remote area. Let's say somebody goes, Bardman or any remote place of this thing, Mednapur or somewhere where there is a connectivity issue. So you have got to give some kind of incentive so that the foreign investors or even Indian investors can invest. Okay, so the government part is this, and government is going in the right direction. They are encouraging the promoters. So educators have got to be really promoted in terms of giving the incentives, encouragements, and have the light and tight regulation, not that tight. Only tight regulations, if you do it, nobody is going to invest here. Okay, the strategy should be like this: liberalize the policy so far the education is concerned. Give more number of scholarship, etc. But the government part I am saying. Then another thing is building the industrial manufacturing houses in this. The way the MSME is going. I am saying the big companies. Why only micro, small, medium? Where the cap is 1 crore, 5 crore, 10 crore, 50 crores. Of course, the large GDP contribution is through the MSME. MSME is doing a wonderful job, but we have got to go for the big investors. We can have the big business houses here. It means that thousands of the students in one go, they can be employed. And the skills are not in skills. Let's say engineering. I'm an engineering graduate, and of course, I have done my second PhD in management. So I have seen all the campuses of the IIT and IIMs. We are looking at that when our students they are getting produced. They should have a complete personality. It means that they should be absolutely well-rounded personalities. Then only the attraction, because we have got to create apna sauda chokha karna hai. If you have got to make our things attractive, then this thing has got to be really improved upon. The another important aspect which I would like, there is something called twining arrangement. Twining arrangement means basically you give an opportunity to study, let's say, 4 years BTech program. 1 year program can be in the, let's say, Harvard. It can be in the Stanford. It means collaborative efforts with the foreign university, because they have gotten a craze also that, okay, what is the kind of a culture, what is the kind of a quality, what is the kind of a research is going in the other this thing. So twining arrangements has got to be there in the universities. So that is very important. TWINING, twining arrangement with the foreign university or any. Then hand holding with the higher educations. As I said, that 9 higher educations in institution of the importance, national importance, they are here. So they should have do some kind of an hand holding to the university which are lagging. So far their infra is concerned and the quality of the teachers are concerned. Okay. The next thing is that national education policy is definitely dictating all those things, that teachers' salary, their grade, their promotional avenues, their morale, their motivation should be very, very high, and they should not be deployed for all kind of government election duties or any other duties and things like that. Morale of the teachers, that goes very low. And national education policy 2020 is dictating the terms that henceforth, if the education policy is going to be implemented, the teachers are going to be only employed for the teaching as well as the research purposes and nowhere else. There's nothing like an extra duty. If you really want to improve the quality, that these are the areas. Then we have got to look at this, your R&D base. R&D base, your service sectors. Because if you have got to look at this, how the big investors, let's say Newtown, here we are in the Amity is in a Newtown. Already, I mean, so many investors are there, but we have got to attract many of them, big business houses, so that students, and then changing the mindsets of the students. सिर्फ बंगाल में ही नहीं जॉब करना है, और भी स्टेट्स हैं, और भी मेट्रो सिटीज हैं, और भी अदर सिटीज हैं जहां पर बात करना है. इंडिया एक है, हमें सब जगहों पर काम करना चाहिए. I've got little military background also, so we keep moving from one place to the other place, but we keep enjoying it. Thoroughly we enjoy. India is not one place. India has got a very diverse land and diverse people. So we have got to test the test of every state and also the foreign countries. I think these are the strategy. Create more opportunities for employability is a very important thing. That's all I have got to tell you. I can speak quite a lot, but yes, thank you very much.
Dr. Kumar, really I'm thankful to you for your comprehensive deliberation, like your usual style. You have a structured presentation in quality, engagement, entertainment, employability. You are making our task very easy by your structured presentation always. So people will understand your point of view very clearly.
Because these 4 parameters are very, very important for the students also, teachers also. Only if you start teaching the students in the university, student is not going to get attracted. No.
So you cannot attract people unless in a holistic approach. Holistic approach hoga to aadmi aayega na.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. Exactly. Thank you, sir. We'll come back to you because you are running short of time. Now my fourth speaker is here. It's your Arinda Mitra. Arinda, I'm going back to the industry perspective now. As I mentioned that, we are in the next normal situation now. You may call it new normal or next normal, but there is uncertainty. People are still today, they are not seeing the light in the other side of tunnel. People don't know what will happen in 21, 22, what will happen 23, 24. So now what happened today, people are observing that work from home concept has started. People are observing the less employee, more work concept has started, particularly your IT sectors and also the consulting sector. 95% people or 80% people are now doing this thing. And by the process, you are rationalizing your capital costs. You are releasing a lot of property, different cities to reduce cost, and people are aware of all this information. So that gives a panic also in the middle class people and the parents also. What will happen with the children if really work from home starts and is a way of our life? If the less employee, more work will there, what will happen with our own children? So is the job market of IT shrinking in Bengal vis-a-vis other state, due to this new normal or next normal situation in your own sector? Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So thank you, Mr. Dasgupta, for the question. I actually have a completely different view on this. The job market in Bengal, to me, is not shrinking. It has, in fact, the potential to multiply many folds. And let me explain to you why. The pandemic has definitely changed our lives forever. Nothing is going to be business as usual. We all know that. We like it or not, we have moved into a new normal. And in this new normal, interestingly, there are no geographical boundaries. The countries may be closing down their borders physically. Okay, but for employment and business, it has become an absolutely flat world. So to be employed in Bengal, you no longer need to work on a company which is physically located in Bengal. You can be working for any global company, maybe even something which is located in Honolulu, for example. Okay, so Ms. Lakshmi actually mentioned about Accenture, and it's absolutely exactly the same with us as well. We are going where the talent is, irrespective of whether the person is located in Kolkata or Bangalore. It does not matter in today's world. Okay. Similarly, the other aspect of it is that with the advancement of the supply chain, sitting in Kolkata, you can be actually selling your products anywhere in the world. I mean, a lot of my friends from IIT and IM have become very successful entrepreneurs and they have their own startups. One such startup company based in Kolkata and which is run by one of my friends in IIT, he actually sold his products in Cambodia during the pandemic. Okay, so that's the kind of opportunities we have. Now, of course, in order to be successful in this new normal, where there are no geographical boundaries, technology is going to play a vital role. I mean, gone are the days when technology was in the back end of an enterprise and IT was more seen as a cost center. I'm not saying this because I'm from a technology company, but in today's world, you cannot survive without technology. And we are already seeing a huge demand for technology resources. I mean, we will be increasingly seeing what we call in IBM as virtual enterprises, okay, where both manpower and resources are not limited by the geographical boundaries. The golden thread, which is going to bind these virtual enterprises, is what we call as intelligent workflows. And these intelligent workflows are underpinned by the emerging technologies, be it AI, automation, 5G, blockchain, cloud, quantum, you name it. Now, to be successful in today's world, you have to leverage these new technologies. And every organization will need people who are knowledgeable in these skills and not just IT industry. Okay, so just to conclude, the new normal will actually see a lot of demand for technology resources than ever before. And since geographical location is no longer relevant, at least in the IT industry, we have a huge opportunity in front of us in Bengal. With that, I'll end my thoughts and give it back to you.
Thank you, Arinder. In this critical situation of the next normal, your positive analysis of employability and also the not shrinking and other than shrinking, expanding concept is well taken. You have mentioned two very powerful words. One is the flexibility, one is the technology. So if any company can do justice with technology and flexibility or mindset of the people, then you are not apprehending any threat for young people. There will be opportunity and opportunity. Thank you for this positive note from a very senior people in the IBM company. Thanks for that. I'm coming back now to the third round, which is I'm starting with Dr. Dhrubajyoti Chattopadhyay. Sir, in this third round, as Anindo was just mentioning about technology, technology is a buzzword or keyword for the next normal. So that's the first point for my concern. Second is, initially we were thinking that these changes in COVID, maybe for 6 months, maybe for 1 month, maybe for 6 months. But now we realize it may be the way of life. We have no idea that next normal and new normal will be the permanent normal for our life. So for that purpose, whatever changes we are bound to do that due to this COVID time, it will last for long, maybe 2021, 23, 24, it will continue. So in this background, in the next normal situation, technology will play a very major role in transforming education and training also, as Peter was suggesting. So how much we are equipped in education front, how much we are equipped with technology and digital intervention in education, because last 15, 16 months, there's no physical contact, no classes in school level, college level, higher education level, and people are thinking it will open, but as per the main present situation, it may continue for another 2 years also. So in that situation, when this type of thing is a permanent nature, how much we are equipped with technology and digital intervention in our overall educational system? Professor Chakravarti, please.
Yes, thank you. What I want to just mention that, that University Grants Commission from the year 2010 wanted to address the issue of diversity in our education system from one part of the country to the other, where there are so much of heterogeneity, and thereby how to introduce this concept of online mode of teaching with different types of technical supports. It started certain initiatives. There are important initiatives which are actually like NPTEL or SWAM, but these particular things are never been utilized in a proper fashion till 2020, when the first announcement of lockdown started on 21st of March 2020. At that time, there is no other alternative. People understand that they have to go for online. But if you think about that, our educational administrator, they for a long time wanted that this type of things should be introduced. And there are certain type of preparations already been done. Even with respect to the virtual practical system, the BITS Pilani in 2007, they started some fantastic practical in virtual mode. So those things are there, but never been utilized. The COVID-19 pandemic, it acts as a catalyst for changing our mindset. It is a mindset for which we are not changing. We always prefer to the way we are teaching to everybody. But now we understand, you are absolutely right. It's not for a short period of time. It is actually for the future of education, for the real role of education to play an impact on society. The online education, the blended form of education is going to play a very important role. And so I can tell you that this is just a beginning, but we need to go a lot more to transform the education, skills, and the employability in Bengal. We need to shift the education to experimental based model, research based education, as well as where case studies are going to be playing very, very important role in changing the way we used to teach our students. And thereby, I find that our infrastructures is not ready with it, but slowly gearing it up. Though in our university, we have our own learning management system from the very initial stage in 2018, when we started our journey. But you know that from 2018 to 2020, it has been used only 15%, which is right now being used almost 100%. And lot of new things are being introduced. I'm sure that all the different universities, colleges, they are going to do it. The other important thing, if in the last 1.5 years, if you asked me that how many successful webinars I have done in the remotest corner of the country, from Northeast remote, from remote areas in our state itself, from the areas where we thought that, oh, no, their students are having some sort of problem. But those colleges in those parts are organizing these webinars where many international experts are also being invited. Earlier, it's not there. So I think it's a very, very positive thing which forced us to learn and to understand we have to change ourselves. And that is the most important thing, that we have to change ourselves. And in that way, what I can tell you, that in the meantime, when this national education policy is 2020 is being framed from last many years, say after 1984, no new education policy is there, but this 2020 new education policy, it has got several important points which will address these issues. So with respect to both the central and the state governments, it is very important actually to find out the ways to fund the development of infrastructure of the whole country so that the digital divide could be addressed. Because digital divide, we cannot do this. No, we have to address the issue. We have to get the technology. And I'm sure the different types of virtual classroom, virtual labs are going to help to minimize the diversity, minimize the heterogeneity in our education system. And yes, the remote corner students or faculty members, they are coming up in a very nice way. So the technology should be developed and should be introduced. And there are many, many things are coming up, and we have to try how to accommodate them, how to get the best of it. And as faculty members, how to develop our own technology so that others also can follow it. So for example, during this period, many colleges actually, we help them to develop the learning management system, and they are really happy with it and they are utilizing it also. So it's an open source thing. The MOOCs is there. So why not we use that? We should combine with them. As mentioned by Mr. Mitra also, the IBM derived course in our university, there is a 78 hours course, what actually we're getting from IBM. It's a fantastic one, and it's across discipline. The cross-disciplinary methodology of education is going to be one of the most important things. It's not that technology is going to help us to become cross-disciplinary in nature also. And that's the only way we can survive. So Corona helped us to move into that direction, but that's the only way we can go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chakravarti. A very important thought you shared today, that is, we must be recognizing that. You said that everything was before COVID, all the technology, all the system, it was already there. Nothing invented during COVID time. Only the mindset problem was there. We are not able to utilize this thing. Now, due to COVID, we are utilizing each and every technology available with us and trying to get the advantage of the existing technology, which we have not practiced before. So it's a question of mindset. After the change of mindset, the same technology will give us more mileage. Thank you for this very positive sharing that nothing should be invented. There should not be any major investment required. Investment is always there. Only we have to know how to utilize it properly for our benefit in virtual platform. Thank you for that. I'll come back for you for the last round. So now I'm going to Lashmi, going back to industry and corporates. Lashmi, coming back to Accenture. Accenture is a big employer. All globally, you have a presence. National level also, you are doing a significant job. So we just want to know that Accenture, as they're a big employer, and you are creating a lot of hubs in South India. We have realized, we came to know from that. So is there anything like Accenture can create more hubs in Bengal like South? Are you thereby any extensive plan? Because in Bengal, we know that a lot of talents in Bengal, and we have seen that Accenture as a procedure of promoting a lot of technological hub, talent hub in South India. Is there any plan for Bengal for Accenture? Please, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Dashgupta. And I'll kind of anchor back to what I said in response to your earlier question as well. I believe the pandemic and what Professor Dhrubajyoti mentioned as well, the pandemic has completely reset work trends. Many organizations in the space of IT is moving towards more remote working with hybrid working models, defining new ways of working, and organizations will continue to have a very distributed workforce. So we'll have to think about this very differently than we have done in the past, No longer are there going to be, hubs, but it'll be more a distributed workforce. Of course, essential infrastructure like, uninterrupted like electricity, network connectivity, those are going to be very critical for people who are going to be working from remote locations, home locations, to continue to contribute productively. So if you look at it, digital technologies are at the heart of this. They are the heart of all the innovation-led growth you're seeing across industries, services, manufacturing, no matter what it is. And India, not just Bengal, but India has the potential to become the talent hub of the world because digital skills are in short supply everywhere. And our existing strength in this area really positions us well. But having said that, what we need to instead focus on is really all stakeholders, government, industry bodies, academia, industry, all need to work together to skill people so that there more people become relevant and employable as the future of work changes and the world becomes even more digital. You're going to see more compression, more acceleration of this whole digitization. And there needs to be a two-pronged approach. In fact, skilling one, of course, is to be on the foundational skills, whether it be English language proficiency, whether it be numeracy skills, whether it be interpersonal communication skills, business basics such as social media marketing, fundraising, accounting, etc. But there also needs to be a significant focus on the digital fluency so that people remain relevant and they keep pace with new and emerging technologies. And digital fluency is going to be required across industries, across roles, not just for IT companies, right? And therefore, we've been, as Accenture, we've been working with various government and industry bodies in their skilling efforts because, like I said, we are going to remain distributed. We will continue to hire the talent where we find the talent. We have partnered, for example, with Quest Alliance to enable a continuous learning journey for our youth across the nation. We have a mobile app that has about 75 plus hours of interactive digital content on communicative English, digital literacy, customer interaction, work readiness that people can access universally, free access. Specifically in West Bengal, we have one of our partners, Anudeep Foundation, with whom we are training thousands of people, including youth, persons with disability, women. This program with Anudeep alone has focused on preparing youth for the 21st century jobs, such as training, coding, networking, certification course. That's kind of what I believe is the future. We have therefore focusing on continuous learning. We've also very recently, regularly kind of added to the desktop capability in some of the skilling centers in remote locations within West Bengal. So that, in my view, is the way to kind of view this in the future, not about hubs, but about how do you build a capability to support a distributed workforce? How do you continue to ensure that the infrastructure in place enables people that are working remotely in all locations to be productive, to be effective in their jobs? Let me hand it back to you.
Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you for sharing some of the plan for West Bengal and also strengthening that you are doing something for Bengal, considering that flexibility and also the technology in today's context. And now I'm going back to Mr. Dr. Kumar. Sir, before coming to you, sir, one thing is, as the discussion was so interesting, we stretch our time also. So now this one and last balanced round, we have to do it little specific, and we have complete the session by 10 minutes time. So my question to you, sir, very specific question. But in your last two questions, you have deliberated a lot of things for the industry support required for academia. I just want to know, for your wisdom, two, three important suggestions how to strengthen industry academia bonding. I'm pressuring the word called bonding. There are a lot of infrastructural discussion we have done. But now, in terms of the industry academic bonding, if you highlight 2-3 points which will be beneficial for industry and also for the academy. Dr. Kumar, please.
Okay, thank you. You have got an pointed question, and I will try to be, to give the pointed answers.
Yeah, they're running short of time. Yeah.
Right. If you ask me how to define the InnoCity, InnoCity is a place of raw and inexperienced youth, which is having talent plus intellect plus energy plus researcher mind, creative minds, having only the lab exposures plus semi-skill. These are the things the university houses in terms of the quality of the students. They are absolutely raw, inexperienced, and having creative minds, having the talent, having the intellect. They have been given money, the lab and virtual experiences, etc. Semi-skilled one can look at this. Industry is having the highly experienced people. When I am going to define the industry, it's a warehouse of the highly skilled people. Okay, having an absolutely technical skill plus managerial skills plus realistic world situations handling capability. Okay, and plus quality control departments and plus team building. Right now we have got to merge this. It means that university strengths have got to put through into the industry, and industry strengths have got to be brought in the university. That is the way one should go. The best way is to open the channel of the communication. The biggest mantra for this bonding is open the channel of communication, and that is the power of adhesive. If the adhesive can join the hearts, definitely it can join the industry as well as university. So how the communication channels will be opened? I'll just list 6 measures. Okay, the first measure is to start having the MOUs. MOU is the industry, depending upon the which area the university is working. Okay, next thing is involve the NGO where the NGO is working, so that you will be getting into the all kind of social corporate responsibilities, etc. Then call the industry people for the guest lectures. Okay, have the joint webinars, seminars, and consortiums. Then next thing is you have the R&D collaborations, because the university has got the intellectual people. They can carry out all kind of experimentations and carry out the analysis. You have the total kind of a drive for the joint social corporate responsibility. If the national mission agenda is there, jointly work in there, so that we develop rapport. It's a question of opening the communication and developing the rapport. That's all. There's nothing else is required. They develop the training program for the industrial people. If they want the upskilling, so the upskilling, they need some kind of a certification. Let's say diploma holders are working, they will be definitely aspiring to become the engineer. So the university can help, going into their campus and teaching them there, or calling them in the university campus. So that is a kind of a development of the training program for the industry, and vice versa. Then frequent industrial visits. Every semester we must have the at least 2 industrial visits in the area of the expertise and domains, whatever it is there. Then develop a culture of at least 3 months to 2 to 3 months internships. If the students they go as an interns, they help the industry also, and in turn we start strengthening the bonding with the people around, because the mixing with the industry people is very much required. The most important part and the last point, involvement of all industrial experts in our board of studies, where we refine our syllabus and develop the course curriculums. Academic council, where we discuss threadbare all academic activities of the university and give them approval. Vice Chancellor is supposed to be the chairman of that council. Then board of the management, and of course the placement team. Placement teams, with respect to each department, must have the people from the industries, relevant industries, so that they can help us. The another last part is frequent employers meet. Frequent employers meet. So that is all. If you do this, I'm sure, and of course we have got to add one more component as a government component. Let's try to involve the government also, because the government support is equally important. The government machinery, industrial people, as well as the university intellectuals. All together, when we join hands together, I think India is going to really take on any kind of a situation, no matter what pandemic and any disasters, we'll be able to definitely handle together. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar, for this very specific and meaningful recommendation from the Chamber of Commerce. We'll be noting down your recommendation and we'll take it forward to discuss it after. level. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Now coming back to Anindo. Anindo, I am asking you the same question which I asked to Lashmi in respect to IBM. In your assessment, does IBM consider Bengal as a hub of talent? I mentioned in my introductory note that IBM has a lot of presence in Bengal, and we have seen a lot of things initiated from your side. So now that I'm asking the specific question to you, in your future plan, post-COVID or the next normal situation, is there any specific plan from IBM to consider Bengal as a hub of talent? Over to Arvind, please.
Thank you, Mr. Dasgupta. And I know we are awfully short of time, so I'll keep it really short. Let me start by giving an example. Dr. Sanjay mentioned that about 8 institutes in West Bengal of national importance. We have actually recently opened our IBM research lab in quantum computing to 11 institutes in India. And guess what? 3 of those 11 are from West Bengal. IIT Kharagpur, ISI, and Calcutta University. Now, sitting in West Bengal here itself, these institutes will now have access to the quantum computers located across our world in various IBM research labs. This will provide them an opportunity not only to the faculty, but also the students of these institutes to learn the quantum computing technology and use that to solve real life problems. So clearly, we see Bengal as a place where talent is available. No questions on that. This is also reflected in the large workforce that we have in Kolkata. I mean, based on the STPI awards which were given out in the last few years, we are the second largest exporter of IT services in West Bengal. Okay, now having said that, we also have to be cognizant of the fact that what we call as skill or talent, that is evolving and changing over time. The new normal where we see emergence of these digital workers, which is nothing but a combination of man and machine. The machines will do the heavy lifting and the man will be focused more on the soft skills part of it. Okay, so while the basic talent in engineering or IT is important, what is becoming more and more important is the soft skills and the new age skills like in cloud, analytics, mobile. So while IQ is important, EQ is actually gaining more importance in today's world. And that is where I think we need to be a bit careful. We just don't need talented people in IT from West Bengal. We need people with good soft skills as well. So just to conclude, there is no dearth of talent in Bengal, but to be relevant in today's world, we need to continuously transform ourselves. Okay, and this is done best through the partnership, what we've been talking about so far, collaboration with the industry, the academia, and the chamber. Okay, so back to you, Dr. Mr. Dasgupta. Thank you.
Thank you, Arvind. Thank you to note down your plans and your some ideas for the Bengal. Now we are we are switching over to the last and final round, and this is a short round because we have to conclude by 5-6 minutes. My final question to all the panelists will be for Dr. Chattopadhyay. So my question to you: we always in all the seminars we are talking about finishing school concept. Every seminar, alternate days, we are talking about finishing school and importance of finishing school. My question to you as an apex member of the academia and doing justice with a lot of different seminars, what are your thoughts of creating a finishing school for graduates? From the academic point of view, what should be your own idea to create a finishing school for graduates?
You are absolutely right, and thank you for mentioning it, because the first proposal of the finishing school for the biotechnology was submitted by our team from Calcutta University regarding the finishing school for the biotechnology, because biotechnology industries are not in this eastern part of the country. Now, the concept of the finishing school for graduates would definitely make the education more holistic and complete. But we have to keep in our mind what exactly we need to teach in the finishing school to make the education of the graduates complete. So it can be teaching them the technical skills, giving them personality building skills. And I'm really thankful to Anindo Mitra for mentioning that IQ plus EQ. EQ is becoming very important, and giving them the moral skills. So depending on the course, we need to tailor that syllabus. So there should not be anything just like this is the syllabus for finishing school. There should be the tailor-made syllabus based on the requirement of the industries, and that will be the nature of the finishing school. And I'm sure the finishing school is going to be a great success for our state to make our students more employable to the whole world itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shaw. Thank you, Dr. Chakraborty. We just came to know from your narration that this finishing school basically means holistic approach. We're talking about that there's nothing, no proper syllabus for finishing school.
Yeah.
We should be designed in such a way that overall education, overall holistic approach is very important for us. And that is the area creating our more and more finishing school in the state. So now I'm going to Lashmi. Lashmi, this is a question to you as an industrial perspective. Same question, I was already asked the same question to Dr. Chakraborty, but now I'm asking the question perspective of industry. My question to you, your vision on industry academia gap. Gap is there, and there is specific recommendation also Dr. Chakraborty mentioned from the academics point of view. Now as an institution, and now as a corporate point of view, industry point of view, what is your vision on industry academia gap and some specific recommendation and solution for the benefit of all?
Thank you. And as a responsible employer, I believe Accenture and other industries have a role in creating value for not just clients, but people and communities that we live in. And the way we are bringing this to life is in a couple of ways. First of all, like I said, communities. We are making a difference in community. We've got a program called the Skills to Succeed, where we work with several various partners, both in rural and urban India, across about 30 states and union territories, including West Bengal. And till date, across India, we have equipped about 870,000 people. 870,000 people with skills, and 70% of them have either joined the workforce or have started their own business. And this Skills to Succeed now is an academy online that offers interactive modules that help job seekers choose not just their careers but build their skills and find a job. Last year, in association with NASSCOM, Niti Aayog, and Atal Innovation Mission, we developed learning content on AI to upskill school children across the country. That is kind of at one level where we're really bridging the skill gap at a community level. And secondly, in terms of the people that we hire, to really help them transition from college and universities to industry, especially entry level, we have several programs, bridge programs, that seek to address any skill gaps before we onboard them. For example, we partnered with Salesforce to deliver training virtually to our campus hires. Once they complete the training, they get a certificate if they clear the assessment. This helps both students as well as us as an organization. So I believe corporate organizations have a critical role to play in bridging the skill gap in India. It helps organizations meet their demand for skilled workforce, but it also makes a meaningful contribution to the communities we live in as well.
Thank you, Lashmi. Thank you for your last analysis of the last questions. Now I'm going back to Dr. Kumar. Dr. Kumar, you might be aware, or you may appreciate with my concern, that in India, there are some cities recognized with some parameters. Like Mumbai is a financial city, Bangalore, Hyderabad is a technological city. We normally Calcutta is a city of literature, city of art and culture. With that perspective, Bengal creates finest mind in literature, arts and science. Can you think of innovative hub in Bengal for young minds in terms of any academic perspective? Over to Dr. Kumar.
Yeah, yes, again, thank you for this great question. You said rightly that Bengal has been the hub of the all kind of literature, arts and science activities. And the history has witnessed huge number of all awardees from this areas. So the question answer is, first thing is yes, of course, it can be made as a innovation hub. I am looking at this, how one can make this as an innovation hub. What should be the strategy for us? As we are all aware that West Bengal has a long tradition in folk literature. Folk literature has been very, very prominent here. And the evidence by, if you go in the history, Charyapada, Mangal Kyabya, Sri Krishna, Kirtana, they have been the pioneering in these areas. If you move toward the 19th century, and 20th century, Bengali literature was modernized by a couple of prominent people of the West Bengal. Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, Michel Madhusudan Dutt, Rabindranath Tagore, Kazi Nazrul Islam, Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay. So these are the, really they have been the stalwarts. When it comes to the theaters and films, again, we have got many personalities from this place. And to name a few of them, it's relevant to name for our viewers and listeners also. Let's say the prominent amongst all, maybe Satyajit Ray, Ritvik Ghatak, Mrinal Sen, Tapan Sinha, contemporary directors such as Aparna Sen, Gurudev Das Gupta, etc., etc. So how to go about this? When it comes to the even music also, Rabindra Sangeet, I think it's across the world, it is known for its prominence and eminence. So we have got a lot of potential in this state, particularly in these areas. And I really don't know, I'm not very well informed about this, that how many inner cities we have got, especially for the music, arts, and the dance. I'm not very well informed about this. Probably you can help me out in searching this, because this information I could not get it. So I'm looking at that the government must encourage, or the all state and central universities, they must look at this, that how the West Bengal state can go for opening international Sangeet Vidyapeeth. That Sangeet Vidyapeeth or Art and Culture Vidyapeeth, this is my recommendation, my personal recommendation, that we must have an international center here, because this is in a place where definitely every seed can be germinated well. And for that, city must have the incubation center and center of excellence. So for the literature, arts, music, culture, dance, drama, you name the plenty of areas where we are looking at. So that particular city should be basically a manufacturing house, that should be in a production house for the intellectuals in these areas. Like you said, one recent examples. I don't know whether the West Bengal does have the film city, but the Uttar Pradesh government has announced that they will be having the nation's the biggest film city in Uttar Pradesh. So now these are the areas with the creative minds we have got to come out here. Then only your more number of people they get attracted. Their kids and their children need for the education will grow, and that is how we'll be attracting. Let's say if I have got 2 kids or 3 kids, if I have moved to Kolkata, earlier I was in Indore in Symbiosis University Vice Chancellor. So I have moved, so I'll be moving along with my kids. So now where I will be parking my kids, I am also looking forward for a good institution. So this is where I am saying more number of industries, more number of service sectors, if they are coming over here. Although today the geographical limitation is no more. I mean, people are working, but of course the working.
Sorry, Dr. Kumar, to interrupt for a second. Actually, we are exceeding our time. So if you can please,
okay, thank you. So my recommendation is open incubation center, promote this whole art and culture, open theater and film university, open Sangeet Vidyapeeth and research centers, and film city. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar, for recommending your the University for the International Sangeet and Art Academy. As Arnav was talking about time, my last and final question to our last speaker, Aninda Mitra. Aninda, these questions, don't think that it's a personal question or you're related to the career progression. The question looks like this, but basically our intention to know some management style. The question is, which is more challenging to work as a director and location head in Kolkata or in Hyderabad. In the SWOT analysis format, you should mention about what is the challenges and opportunities working in Hyderabad or in Calcutta. Some analysis from your own perception. Anindya, please.
Yeah, it's very interesting, Mr. Dasgupta, you asked me this question because actually before the lockdown, I was traveling to Hyderabad weekly, Monday to Thursday. Okay, so what I'm going to share with you is my own personal experience in working in these two cities. Let me first start by talking about Hyderabad and why it was favorable city for me. The first thing that comes to my mind is about the infrastructure. I mean, our offices are located in the high-tech city in Hyderabad, and I have to admit, first time I entered that place, I was amazed. I mean, I've been to various parts of the world across various continents, but I can tell you there are not too many places with this kind of office infrastructure I saw over there. And then when we come to industry presence, at least in our IT industry, you name any IT company, it has a presence in Hyderabad. And finally, there is this plethora of engineering colleges. I guess you walk every 1 kilometer and you get an engineering college over there. It's like an industry in itself. Okay, but let me now move to Kolkata. I mean, no doubt we have some of the best institutes in the country and the world. I did both my graduation and post graduation from premier institutes, and I did not have to step outside the state. Okay, I got it, both of them from West Bengal itself. It is, of course, a different challenge that we have to retain this talent in state and not that after graduation or post graduation, they just booze off. The other thing I have to tell is in terms of attrition. I mean, we see a lot of attrition in IT industry, but I guess Kolkata is amongst the lowest when it comes to attrition. And finally, the last point I would like to mention is the traffic and the commute time. Again, it may be my personal experience, having traveled in both this commuted in both the cities, and I might sound a bit weird, but I at least found Kolkata traffic to be more ruly than Hyderabad, and the commute times here is also much lower. Right. So I just wanted to end it with a comparison between the two cities on one thing, and the comparison will not be complete without I mention that, and that is about biryanis. Okay. Again, my personal opinion, there is absolutely no comparison between Kolkata and Hyderabad biryani. And whoever has tasted Kolkata biryani once will never go to paradise for Hyderabad biryani, even if they open a branch just on the way to the airport. Okay, so that's my personal opinion again. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be part of this panel discussion. And back to you, Mr. Dasgupta.
Thank you. Anindya, you very nicely answered this question. It's a little tricky question, but you handled it so professionally, so nicely. Now we are at the end of the program, and we have a confidence. The chamber has a confidence that it will be a very good session because all scholars and the senior people are in the panel. But our expectation, jo tha, we are more than this. We are more happy because we never thought that it would be so interesting. We stretch around 15 minutes time, but we never thought that it's boring and all. I'm very sure the people who are witnessing this session, they are gaining a lot of insight, a lot of good points. My personal thank on behalf of myself and also from the Bengal Chamber of Commerce to Professor Drubajyoti Chattopadhyay, Vice Chancellor, Assistant Nivedita University, Dr. Professor Sanjeev Kumar, Vice Chancellor, Amit University, Anindya Mitro, Director and Location Head of IBM, and finally the Lashmi Chandrasekharan, Managing Director, HR Lead, and everybody done excellent job. And thank you to all. And we hope that in near future we'll again call you and we'll insist you to come and spend some meaningful time with that. Thank you to everybody. Thank you, Arno.
Okay, thank
Thank
you very
you to
much.
the excellent moderator.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to
thank
the
you to
excellent
all my
moderator.
co-panelists.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
Thank
you so
Namaskar.
much.
Namaskar to everybody. Yeah.
Namaskar,
We,
namaskar.
we already have the next session speakers with us. So we had ended this session. We are concluding this session, and then we will start the next session in just in 1 minute. So from the Bengal Chamber of Commerce, we are concluding this panel discussion on transforming education skills and employability in Bengal. And we are overly thankful to Mrs. Somesh Dasgupta also for wonderfully moderating the session.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
take
you,
just
Arno.
1 minute. We'll just take 1 minute to conclude this session, we should thank to all the sponsors for all the sessions. And with this, we conclude this session. And within 1 minute, we will be starting the next session. Please come back again. Thank you, sir.